Alright, now we got the worst list out of the way, let's get to the best part. This is my list of the top 10 best movies of 2016. These are some of the movies that I saw this year that I really love. And I feel like the 10 movies that are going to be on this list will stand to the test of time. Well, at least for me. There are some movies I did give a 5 out of 5 to, but most movies I did give a 5 out of 5 to made this list. Some kinda missed the cut. So without further delay, this is the top 10 best movies of 2016. Coming in at number 10 is a movie basically about a tragic event. And there were two movies that came out this year that I had to decide between the two. One was Sully, and the other is number 10 on my list, which is Deepwater Horizon. I was really skeptical to see what Peter Berg can do with this movie. After all, he directed one of the best films of 2014, which is Lone Survivor, so I was hoping that he wouldn't let me down. And thank God, he didn't let me down. This movie was tense from beginning to end, with likable characters and good acting, great visual effects, and the sound design is just one of the greatest things you can see this year. Let's hope Peter Berg can knock it out of the ballpark once again with Patriots Day. It's funny because with number 10, I kinda had the same situation I have with number 9, except that I didn't have to deal with 2 movies, I had to deal with 3, and all 3 of them are animated movies. And the best animated film of the year that came onto my list was none other than Kubo and the Two Strings. I really liked Zootopia, I really dug Moana, but Kubo and the Two Strings basically blew everything out of the water in terms of animation. This is some of the most gorgeous stop-motion animation I've ever seen since Coraline and Fantastic Mr. Fox. I thought the story was original, I liked the characters, with an ending that kinda almost made me have a tear in my eye, I'm not gonna lie. Kubo and the Two Strings, the best animated film of 2016. After a very long hiatus, this director has finally bounced back to make a really Oscar-worthy movie. And that's right, I'm talking about Mel Gibson's Hacksaw Ridge. Mel Gibson finally made his directorial return when he made a war movie that's about as visceral and violent and gory as Saving Private Ryan. We have fantastic acting, especially from Andrew Garfield. We have some of the most jaw-dropping violence I've seen in a war movie ever, with the film also having a really good soundtrack, and the film having a really strong message about beliefs. And Vince Vaughn was terrific in this movie, and I was supposed to hate Vince Vaughn. You know what we really need? A phenomenal Western movie. Sure, we had the remake of Magnificent Seven, which was good, and we had the remake of True Grit and Django Unchained, which are also good, but the one film that completely blow those films out of the water is the modern-day Western, Hell or High Water. Much like Deepwater Horizon, this movie is tense from beginning to end, while also containing one of the best screenplays of the year. Fantastic acting, especially from performances like Jeff Bridges and the one that deserves to be nominated for Best Supporting Actor at the Oscars, Ben Foster. Man, they just don't make them like this anymore. Number 6 is the superhero movie that Batman v Superman wasn't. And that, my friend, is Captain America Civil War. You know, most people thought that Captain America Civil War was probably gonna be my favorite superhero film of the year, but it's not. But seriously, I haven't seen a Marvel movie this good since the original Avengers. This movie had a terrific storyline, great characters, with not only some really fantastic action scenes, but also having a villain that actually wins. Also, Spider-Man's in this movie. As if this film couldn't get any better. Okay, so a lot of people are probably gonna have this in their top 3 best of the year list, but I had it at number 5. And coming at number 5 is the thought-provoking sci-fi thriller known as Arrival. The film started becoming intriguing the moment I watched it. And not only that, it wasn't just a movie that were supposed to be us fighting against the aliens. Basically, this was a movie about compromise and how we can all come together to fix a world problem. Fantastic acting, a good storyline, great cinematography, by the way. I like the design of the aliens themselves and the alien motherships they go on. And I just want to say right here that this movie is kind of a thinking man's movie. So if you want to go see this movie, pay real attention. Yeah, it's one of those movies. And a good one at that. Number 4 is actually the best superhero film of the year. It's actually Deadpool. From the opening credits alone, I'm just like, I'm gonna love this movie. And the fantastic performance from Ryan Reynolds as Deadpool, who really embodies that character completely, with some very hilarious comedy. And this movie was not only a groundbreaking superhero movie, this was a movie that basically parodies any kind of movie. It parodies romance movies, it parodies action movies, it parodies superhero movies. It's a satire of all of these combined into one, and the result of that is the best superhero film of the year, Deadpool. Number 3 is going to be a movie that's probably going to win Best Picture at the Oscars, and that, of course, is Damien Chazelle's fantastic musical known as La La Land. Much like Deadpool, as I was watching the opening sequence, I'm like, yep, I'm gonna love this movie. You know, we never really had a good live-action musical in a long time, to be honest. I mean, sure, we had Les Miserables, and that was okay. But this film right here is just, it's unbelievable. Emma Stone and Ryan Gosling have fantastic chemistry. This movie had fantastic cinematography, great editing, while having one of the best soundtracks of the year. This film, without question, was a marvel to behold. And speaking of which... Alright, we're at the top 2 movies of the year. And these were the 2 movies where I kept flip-flopping back and forth. It was a coin toss for sure, but I put them on the list as they are, and here they are. Number 2 on this list was just an absolute experience. Not only was it a film that I had one of the best film experiences I've seen in a theater, filled with a packed house full of people, but I saw this film at the South by Southwest Film Festival in Austin, Texas, as you can see right here. And I was also interviewed to tell you how great the film was. My number 2 best film of the year is Hardcore Henry. This has been my number 1 best film of the year for a really long time. The reason why Hardcore Henry was such an amazing movie for me is not only because of really good characters like Jimmy, Henry, and the villain Aiken, and not really does it have really good humor in it, while also having one of the greatest action scenes I've ever seen. Not only was it a film I expected to be and so much more, but when I was watching the movie for a second time, it popped in my head. This was a video game first-person shooter satire and an homage to 80s action films all in one. Think about it. It's got the car chases, it has the type of villain you would see in an Arnold Schwarzenegger movie or a Sylvester Stallone movie, while also having intense as heck action sequences. Me talking about it makes me want to watch this film even more. As much as I love Hardcore Henry, this was the one that completely took the cake entirely. I have never seen a film that made me so emotionally invested, a film so amazingly relatable, and I have never seen a tear-jerking film like this that made me cry 3 times in the movie. And before you ask, yes, that happened. And I'm just gonna say it up front, A Monster Calls is a masterpiece upon anything I have ever seen in 2016. This film has one of the best screenplays I've seen this year. Actually, it's the best screenplay I've seen this year. And the guy who wrote the screenplay wrote the original book, A Monster Calls. The acting is completely Oscar-worthy. Every single scene they were in, I'm just like, bravo, that was an amazing performance. The visual effects, they're beautiful. They're stunning. And the characters, every single character is great. Especially with my 2 favorites being Connor O'Malley and the talking tree monster itself, voiced by Liam Neeson. Love that character, man. This film has one of the best soundtracks of the year, if not the best. It's the kind of soundtrack you want to listen to over and over again. And did I mention that this movie was a complete tearjerker? This is the kind of film people need to see immediately. And that's why A Monster Calls is the best film of 2016. Alright guys, that was my list of the top 10 best films of 2016. Comment below, let me know what are your favorite and least favorite movies of the year. Find me on Facebook, Twitter, Google+, or probably miss me on YouTube if you feel like it. And also, be sure to subscribe. My name is Nukem, and you have been blown away.